The Nigerian Senate finds itself at the center of a political storm. Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, is facing accusations of sexual harassment. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, a vocal critic of Akpabio, has leveled these charges against him. The situation escalated when Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended from the Senate. This suspension has ignited a firestorm of controversy, dividing the Senate and the nation. The Senate, in its defense before the Inter-Parliamentary Union, argues that Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension was a result of gross misconduct and unruly behavior. They claim her suspension is unrelated to the sexual harassment allegations. The Senate insists it is committed to due process and upholding the rights of all senators, including Akpoti-Uduaghan. However, critics view this explanation with skepticism. The timing of the suspension, coming shortly after Akpoti-Uduaghan's allegations against Akpabio, has raised eyebrows. Many believe the suspension is a deliberate attempt to silence Akpoti-Uduaghan and discourage other potential victims from coming forward. This controversy has plunged the Senate into turmoil, with both sides digging in their heels. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan remains defiant. She maintains that her suspension is a direct result of her decision to speak out against Akpabio. She alleges that she was subjected to unwanted sexual advances and harassment. Akpoti-Uduaghan's allegations paint a picture of a hostile work environment within the Senate. She claims that her repeated attempts to address the harassment through official channels were met with indifference and hostility. According to Akpoti-Uduaghan, her suspension is a clear case of retaliation for daring to challenge a powerful figure like Akpabio. Her case has resonated with many Nigerians, particularly women. They see her as a symbol of courage in the face of abuse of power. Her willingness to speak out, despite the potential consequences, has sparked a national conversation about sexual harassment and the abuse of power within Nigeria's political system. The Senate, however, presents a different narrative. They accuse Akpoti-Uduaghan of a pattern of disruptive behavior. They cite instances where she allegedly refused to sit in her assigned seat, spoke out of turn, and displayed disrespect towards the Senate leadership. The Senate claims that Akpoti-Uduaghan's actions were in violation of Senate rules and decorum. They argue that her suspension was a necessary step to maintain order and discipline within the Senate chambers. Furthermore, the Senate maintains that Akpoti-Uduaghan was given ample opportunity to respond to the allegations against her. They claim she refused to cooperate with the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges, which was tasked with investigating her conduct. The committee's findings, according to the Senate, were the basis for her suspension. This back and forth between Akpoti-Uduaghan and the Senate has created a cloud of uncertainty. The controversy has extended beyond the halls of the Senate. The Pan-Niger Delta Forum, a prominent political group, has thrown its weight behind Akpabio. They have urged him to ignore the allegations and focus on his duties as Senate President. This support from PANDEF, a group with considerable influence, is seen as a major boost for Akpabio. Meanwhile, civil society organizations and women's groups have staged protests in solidarity with Akpoti-Uduaghan. They are demanding an independent and impartial investigation into her allegations. These groups argue that the Senate's internal investigation cannot be truly impartial, given the power dynamics at play. They are calling for an external body, free from any political influence, to examine the allegations and deliver a fair and just verdict. The calls for an independent investigation are growing louder, putting pressure on the Nigerian government to take action.